Welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. And today is Wednesday, March the 2nd, 2022. And our calling number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. And we'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And I actually wrote to Michael earlier and asked him if he was going to be on the show today. He has not responded to me. So I am going to assume he's either running late or he's not going to be joining us. So I will just welcome you to this show and invite you to go to our website, whyagain.org, and just look around. There's lots of changes, lots of things to read and watch and engage in. If you haven't updated the app on your phone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android, please do so and put it to work. There's a lot of new features in the app. And Michael just popped up on the switchboard, so I will welcome Michael.
Buddy, it's nice to be back, although I'm not exactly back home yet. I'm sure Jean's explained that. We ended up getting bumped. We did some work in Los Angeles, and then there was a client there that wanted to work with a friend of his in Las Vegas, so we flew into Las Vegas for one day, and then my flight got bumped. And it was almost impossible.
Is your microphone all the way up? You're a little bit like you're far away.
Okay. Is that any better?
Much better.
Okay, good. So not being able to get back to Bristol in a timely way, I ended up flying to Sarasota, doing some work down here with Dr. John that I went out to work with in California. And it's been an interesting week or so since I've been gone. We are working on it with a couple of medical doctors, a political person, ended up doing some work on 3 different billionaires, money people, and working on creating a possible healthcare plan that will actually be healthcare for America. And we have the ear of, at least not myself, but Dr. John has the ear of a couple of political people who have an interest in actually having healthcare in America. So it was all in all, we worked on about 30 different people doing. John does a thing called NCR, nasal cranial release, where he expands. For those who've done an intensive, the thesis about the bony structure of the head, the spine, and the pelvis being an antenna, and restoring that antenna to integrity by mobilizing it. And so the energy field work mobilizes that antenna from the outside, and Dr. John, literally by inserting and inflating a balloon in any one of 3 different positions in each nostril, and that mobilizes the core of this cranial structure, the antenna, and powerful process. So it's been an interesting week, and it's nice to be back.
You need to get in a different position or hold your mic up, Michael. You keep getting muffled, and we're missing about every 4th word.
Oh.
And I just texted somebody and said, is it me or is he muffled? And they said, yes, you were muffled.
Okay, well, I'm not sure. There must be something going on with my phone.
Right there's clear.
Right up against the microphone. Okay, well, let's try that.
All right. Okay.
So in any event, it's nice to be back. I hope we can keep the sound up. And the increase in awareness in California was interesting how so many people had the brain cells to listen to the forgiveness conversation. It was pretty incredible. And Jeannie was checking the downloads on the forgiveness app, on the Heartland Airman Forgiveness app, and it looks like it in the last week has gone up about 10 times or more. So there seems to be a lot of people ready for the conversation and downloading the app and going to work with forgiveness. So hold the space for things to move forward, rock and roll. And, of course, this forgiveness process, we're reversing the culture's idea of forgiveness. The bottom line is never forgive anybody for anything, never forgive yourself for anything, but forgive continuously, which sounds like a conflict only because we've been given a false definition of forgiveness. We've been told that we're supposed to let other people off the hook because there's pain moving in us, which, of course, is literally shake the hand of 7.5 billion people on the planet and say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, and I have done absolutely nothing to address the energy that's moving in me that's causing my pain. So in the first century, you'd be handed a tool with which you go inside yourself, and you remove, literally, the energetic roots of your pain. And so that's what we're here to support, to assist people in understanding, and to make available to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. So we're glad that you're one of those minds, hearts, and beings, and delighted to be here again. And if you're out there in listening land and you have a thought or a question for us, call-in number, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, it's 563-999-3581. Which one? Let's have a conversation. Do we have anybody in the phone queue with a hand up, sweetie?
No, nobody has a hand up. Someone was just texting me. I was rereading it that it still sounded a little strange, but that if you would slow down, that maybe where it cuts out about ever so many seconds, if you slowed down in your talking, maybe it wouldn't cut out a whole word.
Well, we'll see how that works.
All right. So if anyone has a question, press 1.
In the phone queue, yeah. Let's have some conversation here. I am still in Sarasota, Florida. I've been running all morning, getting some things accomplished here. So to hear from somebody who's got a topic you'd like to bring up, something that is challenging to you, that you have some questions about, you need some support with, how can we support you? And or, Jeannie, have you shared with folks what's happening with Dad, the developments there? Are we up to date? I know that's been a big part of the conversation.
Yeah, I don't think anything has changed since I processed last Friday that, Stephen and I had gone around and looked and have not heard from the facility. I'm actually going to call them when we get off the show and see if they've gone and assessed him yet or when they plan to go assessing and go from there.
Well, we'll keep holding the space. The willingness that I saw in California to
get closer to your microphone or something. You've moved.
Well, I'm in the same position. I'm in Sarasota. You're sitting here, so.
If you can hear me, you're gone. I mean, like we can barely hear that you're whispering, but we can't tell if you're talking to us or somebody in the room. So I don't know if you've moved or what, but we totally lost you. Are you there? Hello, Michael. Give me opportunity to do another worksheet if I have to do the show again today. So I am not sure what happened. It shows he is still on the switchboard, but can't hear him. So I am not sure what's going on there. Give him just a second. He did just drop off, so maybe he'll dial right back in. There, his number popped back up.
Let's see if
we
that's
can
any
hear
better.
him now. That's much better. Stay still.
Is it? I'm driving, so can't easily.
Oh, well, stop. I said, you're going to make me do a worksheet if I have to do the show again.
Did I just hear you say you wanted to do another worksheet, sweetie?
You did not hear what I said.
Well, maybe we could talk about that workshop, communication. Did you hear what I think I said? Interesting topic. One of, 30 different tools that we have in the armament. And each one creates a different level of opening for functioning fully as a human being. We're functioning fully as the presence of love. Our objective is to support every person we make contact with, recognizing who they are as love and being restored to awareness of themselves as love, and to go of all the false images generated by the mind that convinces that we've got to fight, we've got to struggle, and we've got to feel bad about ourselves, and we've got to guilt other people, and we've got to force people, and all the crazy tactics that the non-being mind uses to try to make sense of the world. When we delete that, all of a sudden, a world that makes sense becomes totally and completely obvious, and we become functional as human beings. Everybody that's been on the show for very long knows that the question that we direct people to, if you want to establish what human life is just hold a newborn and tap into the essence of that newborn. I was actually, took a Lyft ride in Las Vegas the day before yesterday, and a young woman was had a master's degree in psychology, and we started talking about forgiveness, started talking about the Aramaic, and she was just mind-boggled to think of herself, and she had her daughter as love. It was like a shocking thought to her. And this is someone who's a therapist who's working with people through a nonprofit corporation and driving Lyft on the side. And it was just like, wow, that's so cool. I never thought of that. Wow, you mean that's what we are? And yeah, it is a shock to a lot of people at first. And beyond the hostility and fear of the world, a whole different process awakens in us. A process that shocks most people at first because it's inconceivable from the space where one believes oneself to be an hostility or fear-based being rather than a love-based being. And that's our offering to each of us. That's what you are. That's what each of us is. We all start out this way. And the specialty of the world is to knock that awareness of being love out of us, and then it gives a message that we should go find somebody to love, or we should go find somebody to, quote-unquote, love us. And to recognize that that is an impossibility. You know, nobody's ever loved you. Nobody's ever going to love you. You've never loved anyone. You're never going to. What we call love, this non-being world, is approval. Oh, I approve of you, therefore I love you. And if you stop doing what I want you to do, then I'll stop approving of you. And when I stop approving you, I'll say I don't love you anymore, and I'm going to leave. And all of that's got to do with approval. Instead of living as the presence of love, as a human being, and recognizing that love doesn't come from somebody else. Love is not something we get from anyone. It's not something we can give to anyone. We can show up in our relationships as the presence of love. We can live as the presence of love. And then everything that the mind generates, being based on love, is different than what the mind generates when we think fear is the order of the day, when we think hostility is what we need in order to win, to control, to beat, what have you. So we're here to create a different paradigm and to make that paradigm so universally available that it becomes a live in that state 24/7, 365. So that's our objective. That's what we're here for. And we're delighted that you're on the team to be part of the conversation. And if you're out there in listener land, how can we support you? What's on your mind? 3-999-3581. Unfortunately, with all the the goings on here with this traveling. Not had an monologue prepared for today, so I'm ready for a dialogue. Somebody to pick up the phone and say, that's it.
And you're breaking up again.
Well, I don't know what to do. I'm now sitting still.
Well, right there it's clear.
Sitting still. Okay.
So nobody has a hand up. There's no questions. There's several listeners, and actually there's a couple numbers that I don't recognize. So we've got some new listeners. And let's see, a hand just went up. Actually, two hands just went up. So the first one is area code 314. I believe this is Doug.
Well, hello there, Jeannie and Michael. Yep.
Well, hey there, young man. Good to hear from you. How are you?
Oh, I could be. How do I answer that?
Worse?
One? I don't know. It could be worse. Yeah. Yeah, it could be worse. It could be better. I'm challenged. And I thought, well, no one is raising their hand. I think I should take advantage of that opportunity.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. I
How can we support you in what you're being challenged with?
Well, my main challenge is just my attachments to the relationship that is basically winding down. I'm manifesting shingles here the last 3 days, which is uncomfortable, but it's manageable at the moment. It's delaying my departure conveniently. So that's an interesting observation.
If you look at the questions you ask yourself to determine whether it's a symptom of healing or a disease process, how do your answers go on that? Just your
okay, so I heard you say, Michael, I really couldn't hear the question. I'm sorry. If I heard the context around it, but what is the thing that I should ask?
While I was just checking in with you to see if you felt like you were in a healing crisis, if this is your body eliminating something. You know, remember there were 4 questions to ask.
Yeah.
Am I doing more and more of the right things? Elimination. What's happened to my vitality?
Well, perhaps, perhaps it is. I mean, I feel like probably the long COVID compromised my immunity, and that gave rise to this. That's what I'm speculating more than anything. There is. I have a whole packet of worksheets and writings and stuff that I put together the other day, like almost an inch thick. That's all related to this relationship, and I'm basically, I can't say that this is a healing crisis, but it is in a way, because I know without question that I am being moved into something other than how I have been radically. And I, manifesting, seeing myself being directed by, in the flow of love in a different way for my life and its expression and purposes is what has to be. I'm aware of that, but as far as, and I'm doing all the right things as best I can. I have been for, 6 months. I mean, I take 2 handfuls of supplements, and I finally ended up getting on a couple of drugs for the long COVID, and it was right after that this happened. So I don't know, but I do think that I'm just extremely open to looking at, I have a worksheet in my hand, or, other ideas or mind shifters, but because it's like I'm right at the edge of finishing up my projects here, and, the thing to do is next is to start packing the car and leaving, and I don't really want to, I feel like this relationship is the most valuable thing in my life. I want to be committed to this for the rest of my life. That's how I feel emotionally. And over the last 2 years, Diana's she's moved more and more away from that idea. And at this point, it's hard for me emotionally, the pain that I feel up, the loss and sadness and the grief and the feelings that this isn't the only shard of, this is the right thing I can get to is this is driving me to something better inside, to become something more. But as far as my emotional content, I'm just so adamantly, both, I experience sadness and I experience a lot of grief and I experience a lot of sense of conviction in myself that this is an errant course to be taking and that our potential is worth holding on to. And so in calling in, I didn't really have any particular place to go other than just say, well, let me call in and see what happens,
Right. Well, the obvious worksheet, what I hear you saying is there's sadness and a lot of pain in the so-called, so to speak, file in your mind on relationship.
Right.
And
that
kind of energy held in your file on relationships, just the presence of that in your physiology would tend to energetically lead you in a direction where responses in relationship wouldn't be of the naturally highest level to inspire relationship to keep moving, and energetically holding that would not tend to resonate in your partner the highest responses. And so the obvious worksheet, I'll just ask if you've done this one yet, and of course it sounds counterintuitive, to cancel your need to be in that relationship. Have you done that?
Yes, I have. I've constantly worked at that. I have. I think maybe I hear this as just let's keep doing more,
What comes up when you do that particular worksheet? What kind of thoughts? What kind of emotions?
Well, I can't remember exactly at the moment, nor can I put my hand on those worksheets probably in this moment while I'm on the phone. But I recall is that one of the things that came up was tremendous sadness with the difficulties my parents were having in relationship, fear of loss of my parents as a couple when I was a child, when I was eight, and they were separating and breaking up. I felt fear that I wouldn't be okay, that I would not be, that my survival would be threatened by that.
Is that a current thought as well in departing from this relationship?
Yes, that's in the dynamic. It is. Yes. Yes, it is.
So have you done any, it might be useful to do some worksheets from the point of view, go back and seeing as how that's fresh and that has come up with the work you've been doing. It might be valuable to go back and do worksheets as your mother, as your father, as though you were them, and what they were going through, and see what you can uncover as you do some forgiveness around their divorcing and breaking up, and see what else, just what shows up if you get into a dialogue with either your mother or your father, internally or actual, and see what hidden dynamic might be left behind from that experience. At 8 years of age is a pretty impressionable place for a kid to be concerned about, am I going to survive?
Right, yeah. I haven't done any worksheet from the perspective of my parents, so Yeah, that would be good.
It might be worthwhile doing that. Imagine that you are your mom. You're sitting in your room, and all the confusion and frustration and maybe rage or fear, whatever's up for her, and working to do a worksheet as though you were actually her sitting there, and then do the same from dad's perspective might uncover some of the dynamics that are still running in your energy field with regard to relationship.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
Have you?
Yeah,
you've been in a workshop before, I think, where we've done the releasing the emotional attachments. Correct? Where we use the two pencils of light. Do you remember that exercise?
I don't remember that right offhand, no.
Okay. Well, it might be worth doing this. I've seen this exercise it's so simple, but I've seen it make profound shifts in people's relationships. Like just bang right there, just change everything. And it's a way of getting centered in your brain, located in your brain, and doing a verbal release of attachment to the emotional ties that keep, it isn't removing the relationship, but just breaking the chains of emotional responses that are so habitual that even when you say, okay, I'm never going to do that again, next time that circumstance presents itself, there it is. And that can be a powerful release mechanism. And if you'd like to do that, we can do that at this moment.
Sure. Sounds good.
So let's do it in two. I don't usually do two different circumstances at a time, but the sense I get at this point is it might be useful to do one in regard to your parents' relationship, do one in regard to your relationship with Diane.
Okay. All right. I also found one of the worksheets where I had that content about my parents and stuff just in case. All right. So, yes, let's do that.
Okay. So you want to just close your eyes, get in a comfortable place, and close your eyes, go inside. Anyone else who wants to do this, it can be a powerful, simple exercise, but I've seen it change a lot of dynamics in relationships. And so what you want to do is close your eyes and just go inside. And I want to direct you to your awareness to a particular area in your brain. And that's the seat of the unconscious where you can let go of these emotional attachments. You can cut the strings to emotional attachments. And so with eyes closed, I want you to just imagine that I'm there and I have two pencils of light. And I'm going to insert them, one of them right down through the center of your head, and the other one right through the center of the forehead. They call the third eye.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then, so imagine that I've got two pencils of light, and I'm inserting them in those two places while you breathe, and just allow your awareness to be at the place where those two pencil tips would meet. When you're there.
Where the two pencils meet? Okay.
Yeah, where the pencil tips would meet if I were to insert them in the third eye and the top of the crown chakra.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. So staying with your awareness in that thought, verbally addressing and asking for help from Rukha. Rukha, I release all attachment to my parents staying together.
Okay, I release all attachment to my parents staying together.
That's a good breath.
Okay. Yeah.
And what's happened?
Well, that I feel a definite lightening up. It also feels, I can feel, all the reasons why I was gripping to them staying together, But saying I release all attachment to my parents staying together, I feel lighter and I feel more empowerment because it feels like when I say that then I must be capable of managing without them staying together, which is the opposite side of the thought that terrifies me when I think of them breaking up. So it's like, okay, well, if I'm saying it's okay if they break up, then I will surely be okay. And that feels very good. Very good.
Perfect. Awesome. And if you were to now, just being in that state, your eyes still closed, bring an image of your parents to mind, what would that image look like?
Well, I see them on the occasions. I feel very emotional. On the occasions that they were getting along like we used to. We used to go to Starved Rock State Park, and I remember them there enjoying one another. That's what comes to mind.
Yeah. Keep breathing into that and just be with that image and be with them. And be with the pain that it resonates in you. And from this state, so you've released attachment. Now cancel your goal for them to stay together. Go for it. Go on into that. Breathe right into that and go for it. And a lot of times we'll unconsciously try to recreate a circumstance in order to give us one more opportunity to work through it. And
that
when we work
makes
through
sense.
it, we can stop that recreation process. Behave differently, think differently, act differently than prompted by those unconscious dynamics that aren't resolved.
Yeah, I cancel my goal for my parents to stay together. That's very difficult. It does have a lot of, I can see how that goal says, how I felt so contrary to that, just like I do about this. It's like a similar evidence of a similar energy of there's no way that's the right thing, is what comes forward. It's like an obstinate, strong sense of resisting to that and believing that this would be wrong for my parents to break up. But it's very noteworthy to me that feels so similar to how I feel about my present situation, that those energies are like basically the same energy.
Yeah.
That's very useful.
Yeah. There's a book about this. I think it's called Why Is This Happening to Me Again?
No kidding. Yeah. How about that?
What we hold unresolved is going to have its way. It's going to find a way to express. And so we can openly embrace it and bring it to love and process through it.
Yes. So I what is it? I cancel my goal for them to stay together. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Or ask Rukha something about that. Okay.
Well, I asked Rukha to help me. So the next step, you cancel it, and then it's the asking for Rukha to process the energy that, is
all right.
overwhelming.
I cancel my goal for them to stay together. And I asked for Rukha to help me process the energy that brings up in me. Awesome. Yeah.
And then maybe it just occurs to me that a brief conversation would go for it.
I see that little child so afraid. Yeah.
It's kind of an immobilizing fear.
Yeah, it's just a terrifying fear that I'm going to lose my parents, and that's going to be like the end of my life and everything good in it. It's like That's what arises when I say, cancel my girlfriend and to stay together, and ask for the energy that's behind that to be surrendered to Rukha. I just feel myself as that 8-year-old, like, I can't possibly have that happen. It would be the end of my life. And that's very similar to elements of how I feel now. So this is really why is this happening to me again at the moment. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So notice you were 8 and you're now at least 28, right?
Yeah.
And notice it wasn't the end of your life.
Yeah.
So notice that
That's
was
true.
A thought disorder. It's a thought you created, a thought you made up, or maybe you inherited, or maybe you picked it up from mom or dad. Maybe that was what they were thinking as well. And notice
of course, what my mind says,
a true thought.
What my mind says is, well, they didn't break up, so that's no proof.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately they separated and got back together, and my life went on.
Right.
But if I had broken up, my life still wouldn't have ended. So, yeah.
So recognize that was a thought disorder that perhaps is what you're basing your perception on. And here's the thing about it that I think is really key is that when I base my perception, when I base my perceptual constructs on that thought disorder, I'll tend to behave in accord with it in my current situation. So I'll tend to do the very things, say the very words, tap into the very emotions that perpetuate the effect of that thought disorder as though it's true.
Yeah, now the thought disorder we're talking about is the thought disorder being that my life would end if my parents broke up.
That your life would end.
Right. Okay. And so somehow I would be perpetuating that now.
Yes. And notice the similarity in the feelings. And remember, feelings are shadows of thoughts. But the thing to hear at this point, I think, is that recognize that if that thought's running under the surface, that thought holding such a huge emotional charge is going to tend to unconsciously push your thoughts, your words, and your behaviors out of that dynamic, which obviously you're not going to produce the same results if you're behaving out of the pure presence of being and love and knowing that you're fine in the relationship, and should you choose to move on or should the relationship come to an end, that you'll still be fine. You'll do a whole different set of behaviors, and you'll be radiating a totally and completely different energy, which, the fact that you and Diane have been intimate with each other, you're genetically linked, so what moves in you will tend to resonate what matches in her. And if the thought is, my life is over, and I have no idea what might be going on with Diane specifically in this regard, but it might be, oh my God, I can't be around someone who's dying or leaving. So, and nothing has to be spoken for that energetic dynamic to be transferred. And of course, it could be 1,000 variations on the theme, but knowing that that's the underlying energy, remember that high energy wave that leaves the mind when we think a thought, powerful, especially when we're intimately connected with someone, genetically connected with someone.
Yeah, the thought going on in her, I can tell you one of them is something like, it's too much for me to deal with being the essential element of your life in that way, or like if I can't stand in a place of being that important in your life, where you're going to die or something, or you're not going to be okay without me. I can't, that's too much of a weight to deal with. I know that that's been expressed to some degree, some version of that. And so you're saying, I'm trying to get this in my head, that I operate out of the dynamic of believing that my life's going to end like I did at 8. And so then I think I have that emotion, that feeling, and that content, and I make choices out of that, and I have emotions out of that.
there probably wouldn't
They're
be any
decisions,
choices
yes,
there.
not choices.
They'd be decisions
not
from
choices.
that past that
Yes,
just play out.
decisions out of that past, which are not helpful to my life or my situation.
Yeah. And they don't support behaviors that are going to inspire healing through the relationship.
And
they'll
don't support
tend
behaviors
to create
that will
behaviors.
inspire healing.
Yeah, they'll tend to create behaviors in you that would tend to lead to separation. And if there's any of that in Diane, it would tend to resonate that same thing in her. And now matching bags of garbage push off of each other. And so I can see how, from what you're saying, from her perspective, it's like, well, if I'm going to be responsible, and that might look more like blame for ending your life, I just can't handle that.
Right. Yep.
Because this is it's a pretty powerful death and survival thought. And it would tend to, if you've ever been around someone who's needy, it would tend to create a neediness that most people respond negatively to. It's like, I can't fill that hole, it's too big.
Yep.
You get rid of that, and when that disappears, well, there's a whole different platform to build from, to interact.
Yeah.
And part of that platform might be, and I'll be perfectly fine if I move on, and I'll support you, and you can move on, and we'll live happily ever after. It might move in that direction, but it wouldn't be this deep, needy survival energy that just keeps driving pain and insanity. Insanity being functioning out of a mind without love.
Yep, and I can definitely see where that comes from my 8-year-old self. Clearly. Yep. I have also written on this worksheet somewhere, like, my father was always there for me. He was my confidant and the person I could trust and confide in. And, I have similar feelings for this relationship for her as well. And so it's like, it's very, very similar energies.
And so what I'm hearing you say, and here's where you might want to go back to the power person worksheet. We, in the codependence to interdependence intensive, we had a new power person worksheet. I don't know if you've done that, but this would be a place to do that power person worksheet, because what it sounds like you've done, you've put her in your power person file. And when you put her in your power person file, all of the unresolved dynamics from there just take over.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when you can let her out of that box, everything changes.
Yeah. Okay.
When and the thing that puts somebody in that box is when she violates a goal that you held for your power person.
Yeah, in this case, staying in my life. Staying in my life is that goal.
Right. So you link all the unresolved dynamics from your power person into your brain's image of her, and in essence, she's going to show up as your power person. And, it sounds like with Dad, it was don't leave. You're my survival. You're my confidant. And now she's your power person, and all of that unresolved energy is just playing out there. And I can only imagine that someone on the receiving end of that would say, I got to get out of here. It's too much.
Yeah.
Clean that up, and there's a foundation for a whole different process.
Sure.
And recreation of relationship from something other than the power person dynamic, because the other side, the next piece of that, and I suggest you go into the intensive and review the videos on the power person stuff, but the next thing that tends to happen is, if, let's say this is you and I put you in my power person file, I'll tend to behave in a way that it's not going to be very long before I violate a goal that you held for your power person, and you're now going to put me in your power person file, and now we've got mass insanity. Did that make sense?
Yes, it did. I understand that concept, yes.
Yeah. So I'd dig out that new power person worksheet from the intensive and really do some work on that, because it sounds like this is right at the core of it all.
I can lay my hands on it. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
there's an email that you got from Jeannie, and it's got video links to all 90 hours of the workshop.
Yeah, I can lay my hands on all of it. I've got the power person worksheet printed here. I can do it.
This will be a perfect one to do that.
He's referring to the extended one that we did.
Yes.
It's like 6 pages long.
I have it, Jeannie, on my clipboard. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I would do that worksheet around this whole circumstance that's happening for you with your dad, and then I do it with mom too. Because I'm just thinking of some of the conversations we've had over the years on what you've been processing with mom, and it sounds like there might be a very similar dynamic. Remember, we can have more than one power person, and the way you tell who your key power person is whose behavior do you do when the stress is up and the chips are down, when you're ultra stressed.
Yeah.
The behavior you default to is the power person that is important in regard to that particular issue. We can have a different power person in regard to a different issue. So, around finances, I might have a power person relationship with mom. Around the relationships, it might be with dad. And so working through both of them would be key and important.
All right, so do one of those on both mom and dad. Yeah.
1 or 2 or 3
or 10 or 100.
77 times 70.
Right. Very good. Oh my goodness. Yay. Good stuff. Okay.
Rock and roll.
Somewhere very good. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm delighted you were ready
there.
for it and glad you pushed the button.
Yeah. Me too.
But I jump in, there's probably at least 5 or 6 hours on the codependence principle and the power person. And then it might be useful because one of the things you're going to have to do for your healing, whether you continue to create the relationship or whether you move away from it, is you're going to have a whole different foundation for communication where, what projection communication looks like is I have a perceptual construct in my mind, and I'm talking to you like I believe that you caused it. And that's projection communication. When you shift the mode of communication to responsibility communication, I have a perceptual construct in my mind, and man, this one's crazy, and I realize it's mine. It's nothing to do with you except you happen to be present. And so when I can own it totally, the space gets safer for the person I'm in a relationship with to go, oh, I can open my heart and support that. And when the blame game is there, it's like, no, I have to shield, I have to protect myself. I can't handle this. It's too much.
Yes.
So I'd really spend some time on both of those. And, you were both in that intensive, so you might both work together on it. Watch, do some work around it. See what opens.
Okay.
Might be useful for Diane to listen to this show if she's not on.
Right. She's not, but perhaps she will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
So
we'll be holding the space. Anything else to share?
No, not right now. I got a few things to do here.
You got some work to do. Yeah. Hey, that's awesome. And you know where we are every day at 1:00. So if we can be of any support, that's what we're here to do.
All right. Thank you,
Blessings. Parachute. All right. Holding the space.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a gift. Thank you, Doug. That was awesome for everybody to tap into and get the experience of that. There'll be several people, I'm sure, that'll be in touch going, oh, my God, that was me. And, while we tend to think we're all different, the truth is, we've all basically been through the same stuff. And when we can get conscious about it, that's when we get to work through it.
And we have another hand, and we've got...
let's say hello.
Yeah, we got 9 minutes, so we got time to cover
Awesome.
another topic. This is
Cool,
541.
let's go for
I think this is Celinda. You're on the air.
Hello, it is Linda. And I
welcome,
really
young lady.
Yes, welcome to you. And I just I had the privilege of listening to you process with Doug. And when he first got on and said he was suffering from shingles, and this is for him a possibility, I immediately thought of Louise Hay because she has been so helpful for me. So I went to shingles, and the possible cause for creating the disease is waiting for the other shoe to drop, fear and tension, and too sensitive. And I thought if that helps Doug, wonderful. And her affirmation is, I am relaxed and peaceful because I trust the process of life. All is well in my world. And I was thinking when Doug said that Diane was the most important thing in his life, that I was just listening to Dr. Tim today reading The Way of Miracles. The Way of Mastery. And he in there he was reading that it's when nothing is more important than connecting to our life source that we begin to create consciously, or allow life to express through us, creating consciously. And so I thought that we're not really giving anything up. We are giving it space and putting our focus on really practicing who we already are. And that gives us back more than we could ever have received by clinging to something other than life itself, of which we are. Anyway, that's my thoughts, and I wouldn't have had those thoughts if Doug hadn't shared, and I totally relate to what he was sharing about, and thank you to all of you.
Awesome, right on. You know, there's actually one of the earlier worksheets back, probably 10 years ago, we had a line in it, experiment with it to get it down to the shortest process possible, but there was a point where one of the lines in the worksheet was, you know, my error, and the error, there's only one error, and that is I made something more important than staying connected to my source. It's the only error there is. If I don't make that error and I stay connected to my source, everything's going to flow and happen. We're going to create consciously, and when we give that up, that's when we connect to the non-being mind, the hostility and fear-based mind, and we start creating unconsciously instead of out of conscious awareness. So thanks for bringing that up again and reinforcing it, because that's right where it is.
Yes, thank you, and I hope that Doug finds that helpful, just as a fact that waiting for the other shoe to drop is what we put ourselves into. It's a holding pattern when we are unable or unwilling in that moment to move on and to redirect our focus.
For sure. Connect to the active presence of love. Recognize who we are as an aspect of that in which we live, move, and have our being.
There you go. And if it weren't for my community, I would keep forgetting. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it is wonderful to have community available. So when I forget, somebody's there to support me in remembering. And I like to break down words. You break down that word, remember. Become a member once again of the human race. Function is love. And sometimes, you know, in the presence of those old, especially when they're multi-generational dynamics, you sometimes have to make that reconnection 10 times a minute. Mine is so fast in bringing up, you know, its old pain-based dynamics. So.
Yes, and thank Doug for helping me remember, and you too, and Jeannie too, and everybody listening.
Just doing our job, ma'am. Just doing our job.
in the sandbox of life.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. It's quite a gift. It is quite a gift.
And so it is.
Sweet. Well, any other thoughts for you, young lady?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
All right.
So, Linda,
take care. Lots of love and blessings.
Yes, Jeannie.
Your package to Aria just came just about 3 seconds ago, and it's a perfect day for a gift to come for her because she was really ill yesterday. Threw up like 7 times, and for her little body, that's a lot. And but she's doing better today. But she's very calm. She's asleep right now behind me, and so when she wakes up, I'll give it to her. So thank you.
Oh, is it a little box, kind of a little homemade box?
I have not opened it. It's about a 3 by 5 square package.
Yeah, I know what that is. I'd forgotten what it was, so I had to ask you. Yes, I think you'll love it, and I think it'll be perfect for now because you're ahead of us in growing zones by about
right
1 or 2 zones. So I bet you're getting out in the garden already.
Oh,
perfect.
Well, it's cool that it showed up at the moment when you're
you.
on the phone having the conversation.
Yeah, it just.
I love it.
Right now.
How
cool.
fun. I mean, every moment is the perfect moment, right?
Yes. All right. Well, lots of love and blessings.
Back to you. Amen.
Okay. Take care. All righty. Bye-bye. And thank you, everybody. We're down to the last minute or so for being with us and creating the support space for bringing this forward so that we can put it in the archives. If the show's been particularly meaningful, you can go to the archives and download it and pass it along to someone else. If there's somebody else that's dealing with relationship issues, then just click the button for you. You can send them a link to it or copy the show, actually download it and send it to them for future listening. And, if you're interested in taking your work to the next level, we do have now that 90-hour codependence to interdependence communication practicum that we were referring to with Doug. They're the building the brain cells for understanding how this codependent and projection communication dynamic works in relationships, some of the tools for healing through relationships, and of course the forgiveness tools included, along with mind shifters, still point breathing, and personal code evaluation. So if you're interested in doing that self-study, it's a 90-hour program. It's just some fabulous materials, some fabulous processing in it. Drop Jeannie, either if you've got my phone number, you can call me or text me, or drop Jeannie an email at jeanie@whyagain.org. Jeannie@whyagain.org. And make sure to include your phone number and name, and I'll get back to you. So, blessings. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. Bye-bye.